Hello, and this week on the Bart and Paul show, we're going to talk about magic, something different to do with the Book of Thoth. And in particular, we're going to talk about the Goetia. What do you think, Bart?
Solomon.
What do you think?
I love it.
You love it?
This, in my eyes, this is the most Western, oldest form of magic there is. If you go to any library of any major European city and you look in the archives for old manuscripts and grimoires, you're gonna find the Keys of Solomon.
So the interesting thing, we're talking, it's the Book of Thoth, which is, Aleister Crowley's Book of Thoth. The interesting thing, he doesn't actually mention the Goetia at all in the Book of Thoth. But that's not going to stop us talking about it, because he does talk about it in an interesting way. And there is two or three chapters, if you like. Chapters, probably a strong word. There's one on the Tarot and Magic, where it says magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with the will. And he sort of goes through a few things there as well. And then he gets to the point where he also talks about the Five of Wands, which is interesting because, and he says the Five of Wands is therefore a personality. The nature of this is summed up in this tarot by calling it strife. This means that if used passively in divination, one says, when it turns up, there's going to be a fight. If used actively, it means that the proper course of conduct is to contend. But there is a further point about this card. It is governed from the angelic world by two beings, one during the hours of light, the other during the hours of darkness. Now, it's interesting, he's used the Five of Wands here, because in the Golden Dawn system, the Five of Wands corresponds to the first degrees of Leo, which is actually where the start of the system arises, not from the Two of Wands, which is 0 degrees Aries. So the Five of Wands is the correct position as far as the Golden Dawn is concerned. So he also makes the point in there that there is the meaning. He talks about the active and the passive ways of talking about this or any other minor arcana. There's what happens to you, and there's what you can do. So he's talking about contention, to contend. And there are two energies going on there, two beings, one during the hours of light, the other during the hours of darkness. And these are the two Goetic spirits associated with each decan on the zodiac. Is that right, Bart?
Exactly.
Yes. Then he goes on to say, therefore, in order to use the properties of this card, one way is to get into communication with the intelligence concerned and to induce him to execute his function. And it says there are thus 72 angels set over the 36 small cards. These are derived from the great name of God of 72 letters, called the Shem Hamfresh. So the 7 is the divided name, and there are 3 verses in Exodus, chapter 14, verses 19, 20, and 21. Each have 72 letters, and you do a thing called the Boostrophidium, which is where the plough, and you create 72 names of 36 each with 3 letters in them. And to each of those 3 letters, we add either Al or Yah, and which creates a 5-letter name. And these are the names of the powers. And then from them, we go on to the Goetia. Now, the thing about the Goetia, everyone really gets excited about the Goetia. It's a tricky subject because there are quite a few authorities, medieval authorities, about the number of the Goetia, aren't there? and there's not always 72. Isn't that right, Bart?
Well, if you check the sources, because nowadays everyone has very similar books, the books that are for sale. But if you can still find all these manuscripts in libraries, and yeah, you find all sorts of variations. Now they are all roughly the same, and they all show great similarity. It's just, yeah, some demons get another name here or there, or the name is changed a bit.
Yeah, there's some of the names clearly from other sources as well,
and elements and all, yeah, and the
different languages.
Yeah, yes.
And there's a famous book that sort of Crowley wrote with MacGregor Mathers, or Crowley stole from MacGregor Mathers, which goes into these 72 spirits.
Well, I've checked that out. I've checked out the sources he mentioned, and I've been checking the manuscripts that are mentioned in the Crowley version, in this one.
Yeah.
And he's been taking from a couple of manuscripts, and he's been mixing, because I have another book. I already showed it. This is a Flemish one. This is a copy of one single manuscript.
Yeah.
So I've been searching, and I found this original manuscript, which was in French.
Yeah.
And it's word for word the same thing. Crowley's, on the other hand, mentions parts of this manuscript and parts of others. It is a bit random. To be really honest, I'd rather have a single manuscript or a book transcribed from a single manuscript than this one, because it's a bit confusing sometimes.
Yeah. It's, you pay your money, you take a choice on the matter, basically. And, magicians kind of think they're really hard and they're going to invoke one of these spirits. And, there's all kinds of ways of doing this. The thing is, my issue with all of this is that, well, look at the titles of these spirits. You have knights, princes, kings. They're all royalty. And I don't know about the Belgian royal family, but I hardly think you're going to ring them up and say, "Oi, king, queen, find me love, or win the lottery," or something like that. It ain't going to happen.
Sarah, make women dance naked before me. There is a demon.
Well, they can probably do that for their own private parties, but that's another story. You can see that most of these grimoires are written by men, can't you? So, I mean, the thing is, you might sort of ask very, 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 very nicely for a boon from royalty, or a knight, or some other ranking person. You're not going to make demands, and you're not going to, blackmail is a tricky one to do, or threaten them with violence, which is essentially what happens with most of the Goetic invocations, because you start at the top with God and all things, and you work your way down to whatever.
To burning them at the end.
Yeah. If you use the old, because there's an elemental attribution to all of these spirits. So you got your thing ready. If they don't do it, then I'm going to burn them, or
if you don't come, if they don't show up, you threaten them in every possible way. Now, be careful. I do, because you also have a certain, let's say, a certain lineage in the occult where they do promises and make pacts and this and that. And I don't agree with that either. I think they have to obey you anyway. It's their divine duty.
Well, I mean,
there's no need to bribe.
Having to is a bit of a strong thing. I mean, who says it's their divine duty in the first place?
Well, you either learn to control them, or you let them control you.
Well, how do you control a king? How do you control a king?
Well, the king, you do control the king. You have to control the king.
Well, that's according to their version, I think, which is not that's what they're saying. So, I mean, it's all out of kilter, basically.
It's you don't know. Yes, you know why they have to listen to you. It's the story of, which one is it? John Milton, Paradise Lost. Is it that one? At a certain moment, God decided that demons, they have to listen to humans because humans have free will. Or what was it? What was it again? Anyway, the demons were quite jealous of the decision God took. And this is why demons can be quite... This is why you have to be careful with demons, because they don't actually want to be inferior to us.
Hang on.
They have to.
Who says they're demons to start with?
Eh?
Who says they're demons to start with?
However you want to call them, eh?
Well, you just call them demons. You know, I mean, there's also daemon, which is kind of your guiding spirit or something like that as well. I mean, you know, whoever wins the war gets to write the history books.
Exactly.
So, you know, I mean, a lot of these Goetic names, you mean, you know, there's Astarte and all sorts of names of gods and goddesses who are, they're not demonic.
But listen, the guy who won the war,
yeah,
the big god guy, he's not an easy character, eh?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're kind of getting into where, you know, you're talking about, this is the free will thing, isn't it? Adam didn't do what he was told, and he got thrown out of...
Yeah, exactly. You listen to
the Gregorium, the Watchers, they got thrown out of heavens because as well, Lucifer.
And poor Lilith as well, piss off.
So you know, this is all kind of theology, which, you know, these magicians, you know, they're not religious and they don't believe in this stuff. But that doesn't stop them using... Huh?
Oh, it's all Christian, there's bollocks. And then they go, oh, you're the Vove.
Yeah, no. If they could think straight, they'd be dangerous sometimes.
Well, listen, it's a bit normal. If it doesn't seem paradoxal in any way, you're not getting it. Remember?
No, that's true.
It is with Crowley, eh? Everything, you have to unite the opposites. Otherwise, you're not getting it.
It is the union of opposites. So the thing is, we've been saying all this stuff for the sake of completeness, because everybody else says this stuff, not because we believe it. Okay.
Oh, I love to do that in my daily life. Don't you do that in your daily life?
What?
Play advocate of the devil.
He can do it himself. You know, I'm not taking someone else. It's union rules. I'm not taking someone else's job.
No, but I mean, I do, when I discussions, for example, I love just to be awkward. I love that. You just take the other side, even if
Mrs. Merton said, let's have a heated debate.
Yeah, well, no, it's called union of opposites. It's magical.
Yeah, okay, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah. Has someone been upsetting you again today? Didn't you bring your teacher an apple or something? Keep him sweet. So this is the thing you'll find in pretty much any book on Goetia. The things we've been talking about in various forms. You have to control them. You have to manipulate them. You have to use them. You have to subjugate them. It's very much a master-slave kind of viewpoint that's given there. And you just hear it constantly. I mean, I think there's videos on YouTube you can watch where people are sort of creating a magical circle. And...
Oh, Cronion, he's famous. He makes great. And he was a hardcore guy of doing it the old way. So he got the lion belt. He got everything properly the way they said in the book. He was good, eh? He is good.
But he didn't. But I mean, in the end, you just do it in your head anyway. You don't need all this stuff. I
know, but it's supposed. And normally, it is true. Even Crowley said that, eh? In the new Aeon, all ceremony will become obsolete or something like that.
Well, I mean, ceremonies are there for people who like dressing up and you know, and all this kind of thing.
Well, it's a little aid. I can understand the point of ceremonies. I can get why people do that. It's a little theater they make to get into it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you need that to get into it, you're pretty crap at it in the first place. You know, can't you just think about it?
It's funny.
So, anyway, just by way of a digression, we'll just get back a little bit back onto this whole thing of these 72 spirits. So there's a particular order that these 72 spirits are given in. and they correspond to the Decanate system. Decanate is 10 degrees, so there's 3 decanates in a sign. And he mentions the day and night there. There's 72. You divide that by 2, you get 36. And 36 is the number of spirits who correspond to the 36 decanates by day. And there's the other set, 36 spirits by night. It's a bit arbitrary. And it doesn't work particularly when you look at the Kabbalistic tree of life, because it's actually through the decanate system. So you start with the 2, 3, or 4 of wands, then the 5, 6, 7 of discs, 8, 9, 10 of swords, 2, 3, 4 of cups, 5, 6, 7 of wands, and so on. But Crowley started with the 5 of wands, which is Leo, which the way the Golden Dawn did their system is they start with the 5 of wands. So that pretty much put all the systems up, because they actually start, because these 72 angels that we talked about, the Shem Hamfresh, they've actually started from Leo, because this is where the system starts.
I don't know, because now magic is a funny thing. Is some people lie to hide things, and I'm reading this book now, and it's the only book, you know, the Practical Kabbalah by Ambelin.
It's not the only book.
It's the only book.
Not the only book.
Huh?
Not the only book.
No, wait. It's the only book I know. ... And then I was gonna wait. It's the only book I know that describes all 72 angels of the Shem Hamfarash.
Yes.
Like in the Goetia. You know,
so he copied it from somewhere.
I don't know where he got it.
Well, obviously he did.
But and the dates, he starts with Aries.
You start with somewhere. The thing is, because the precession of the equinoxes, the Golden Dawn starts. Their 0 degrees is Leo. It's actually Regulus, the star Regulus. So that's the beginning of the Hermetic order of the Golden Dawn is there because of precession. And it matches up because then you have a fire element, Aries with Leo. Now,
do you always believe in these? Do you always agree with everything Golden Dawn has done?
No,
me neither. That's some things I have my doubts about sometimes.
But you can see the reason why they did.
Yeah, just to fit it all in their system.
Well, no, because it's simple astrology. If you start with Aries, what happens with Aries? They leap in, they start something, and then they lose interest and do something else. And if you're starting your Goetia there, it's the worst possible place to do it from, because it's a cardinal sign. You'd actually start from a fixed sign.
Yeah, here we go again. The fixed signs are superior. Puh.
In magical terms, they are, yes. So, but the thing is, the Goetia actually start the way but there is this mix match, because there's sort of the Golden Dawns start, with the Shem Hamfresh from 0 degrees Leo, but they actually describe the system of the Goetia from Aries.
Yeah.
But also the Goetia, there's the 72 names, you have them in order. 5 degrees all the way around, whereas with the Goetia, they've done a different system. So it's a bit of a dog's dinner anyway. And so for the minor arcana, the 2s to the 10s, they're each associated with a day and a night spirit. And if you have Tarot Ceremonial Magick by Dukante, they actually have, this is the 9 of Wands in here.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and he has the day spirit of the Goetia is Boon, number 26, and the night spirit is Valak, number 62. And he gets different names for them and everything else. He also has the angels of the Shem Hamfresh. That's, I sound like Sean Connery. Probably how he would have done it, so he's always drunk. So this is, this is what, if you have this book, then it has the 72 names, the 2 for each of the things. But of course, he's put the 272 names in there, but they only cover 5 degrees, but he's made them cover bigger. So now that's what everybody says who's a magician. Okay. The problem with that is it's not the real experience. Okay. You're fighting these demons, and you've got to be well hard, you know? You've got to have the black t-shirt, and, you know, you've been all night fighting these things. Yeah, right.
Now, you laugh, you say it like that, but like I have a few witchy friends. I know this lady, if I just talk about the Goetia, oh my God. Oh, no, I want nothing to do. Go away. Some people are really scared of it.
I mean, they talk it up to make themselves look harder than they are. But this is not, there is also another system called Dukante, which is created by a guy called Dukante and S. Connolly, and there's a few other people that you can find on the subject. And he's actually put these spirits into different family groups, not at all the way that we see the spirits so far. And they've done a lot of pretty good work, actually. It's well worth checking out the Dukante system. And what they have for each of the spirits, they have a thing called an N, E-double-N, which is a short, Sean Connery's getting into this. I'm gonna have to banish Sean Connery from this, you know, this is not good. This N, which is a short phrase that includes the name of the spirit.
Sorry.
And they use this in the invocation. But I mean, you know, but I mean, you know, we are talking about royalty here of spirits. I mean, the Golden Dawn system, you know, it's more of a, you know, these versions of these things is a prayer and more of an invitation. You know, it would be nice if you could pop by, prissy please, kind of thing. You see, which I think is it's a bit more polite. And you know, when you know what the magicians are doing, they're doing the basic equivalent of the 4 o'clock. 2 a.m. knock on the door by the police, you know, they're going to rage you, smash the door in, and when all these guys, the SWAT team comes through your door, you're not going to take them on, are you? Unless you're particularly stupid. You're just going to sort of sit there quiet, and you know they find out what I've never had this experience, but you're just going to keep quiet and cooperate because these guys are tooled up and armor and everything else, and there's lots of them, and there's only you in your pajamas, if you're lucky, at 2 a.m, half asleep. So that's what magicians do. It's shock and awe, which is a strange way of doing things. But the thing is, and this is my experience, I think it's yours as well, Bart, that actually what happens is the spirits turn up. You're minding your own business, you're doing stuff and things like that, and there's just like, it's kind of who the hell is that? And they'll tell you.
It is intimidating, though. It is intimidating when you first meet one.
Yeah, but we're not invoking. We're just getting on with stuff. You know, I've been sort of shaving. You know, my first experiences is I was shaving, and they sort of, I thought, bloody hell, who are you? You know, and what happens usually is the name comes up. It's sort of like a so you know, and they spell it the way we spell it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Because
you know, it's a bit like your email address. You know, people send you stuff through your email address. That's not you. But I mean, you know, even, you know, for identification on Google and Facebook and stuff, you know, your email and your phone number is your identification. It's your handle. It's not you, but that's how they verify. And the spirits do the same thing, yet this is how we look, because that's how people, the consensus, that's how we say we look. It doesn't mean that is how they look. Exactly. It's just otherwise, if they turned up totally different and said that, I think, bloody hell, who the hell you're some imposter.
Well, and still, if you have seen a similar image, then it is good. You know, there's pictures of them.
Yeah. And you know, they're pretty cool about checking out, are you really who you are? You know? Yeah, there's no problem. Yeah. Here's my passport. Here's my ID.
Goetians are really, really cool.
They are.
Have you ever heard of the grimoire Touch Me Not?
No.
This is an Austrian grimoire from in the 1700s. Yeah, you know, it's in the glory days of all the Goetian-like grimoires. And it's an old manuscript. And it's got it's a Faustian manuscript. Also, conjuring demons and all. And it's got Astaroth in it, for example. And there is one there. It's painted in detail, but I'm telling you, oh, Paul, I'll send you the image later. They don't make that in Goetian. I mean, it's horror and pornography in one, and it's a demon. It's not a woman or anything. I'll send it to you. The Goetian demons are quite civilized, actually.
They are. I mean, they're actually aspects of ourselves, because we are the self is the universe. And, you know, we did a video a couple of weeks ago about initiation and self-initiation with Graham, didn't we? We were talking about this sort of whole subject. And there is a, you know, there are magicians who's, you know, it's when you invoke a spirit, is it actually the spirit invoking you? And, you know, when spirits turn up, it's the marking of a particular phase in your life that says you've reached a certain point, although it's never explained explicitly what that is. And you usually have an extra power or knowledge as a result. And that's the spirits who said, yeah, well, you're ready. Next thing.
Next level.
And you go, we're dumped. Bloody hell, what do I do now?
Yeah. Are we there yet?
And you have to test it out. You have to sort of stretch your muscles, you know, you have to sort of see where it can take you. And that's okay as well, because this is the thing. So, you know, this is that. Go on, Bob.
Once you've had contact with one of these spirits, it's like you stay connected to them.
Yeah. You don't need to invoke, you just think of them and they're there.
It creates a bond. It does get away.
Yeah, and we don't do rituals. We're not doing all that stuff you said at the start was a bit of a setup, you know, because that's not our experience. They just turn up. When I was writing my book, The Tower and the Magus, spirits turned up. Goetia as well as Libra 231. And it's like, hi, Paul. Yeah, writing about us, that's cool. I wasn't particularly writing about them specifically. But when you're working in these energies, and the thing about the tarot, with those 78 cards, they actually have a balanced energy and totality around all of them. So, you know, we tend to talk in general terms about, not about individual cards so much, it's just the whole thing. And those cards are within that system. And there is actually a way of determining if you want to work with an energy or particular power, because the powers don't always match up with what they say anyway. That's a kind of, it's a starting point. What they really can do is often very different. And that's something that you'll find out if you ask the right questions.
I think we must emphasize here that although these demons are connected to this minor arcana, this is totally irrelevant when doing divination.
Yeah.
When you're reading cards, this doesn't matter at all. It's when you want to summon.
Well, no, but also you can with the opening of the key spread.
Yes.
You know, when I was working, there's a system of when you found out the cards, particularly in the earth one, with the card counting. One thing I discovered, because I put all of the cards in that sequence into an Excel spreadsheet, you know, with all the card counting and everything, and went through all of them. And then I realized that there are some cards that you can count from that card, but no card counts onto it. So it's not a two-way thing, it's just a one-way thing. So it counts onto cards in other direction, but there's no card that counts on it. And that card, to all intents and purposes, is invisible. It's invisible in plain sight because the card's there. And the other cards aren't seeing it because they're not counting onto it. And if it's a minor card, it would relate to one or two of these spirits that you can use. You can use the one that Duquette talks about, or you can use other ways of doing things. It's the essential point is that's the energy. And if it was a court card, then it would represent, if you talked about that card to someone and that's invisible, that person may not necessarily know who that person is, because that person hasn't manifested, hasn't come into this world. So in one ways, we talked a lot about the abyss over the last couple of months now. And essentially, because we're doing a 3-card reading and then to the 4th position, that's taking that energy from the supernal triangle, which is where it is, into the 4th position, which is below the abyss. Because so if you read the four minor cards, the 4 discs, 4 cups, Crowley mentions the abyss in them because the abyss is there, because you've had to go through it and it's the other side. The interesting thing about the abyss is it appears in mathematics as well, because what's the number that appears between 3 and 4? Do you know?
3.5.
A bit smaller than that. It's pi.
Oh yeah.
Irrational number. Yeah. Which pi is that irrational number that you use to calculate circles. Pi r squared and all these formula and things like this, and it's a rational number, and it's a rational number that appears pretty much where the abyss is actually. So this is something that is beyond those things. So in one sense, you're manifesting that energy, and it has to come through something, which is the chaos kind of thing, and then it coalesces. So the experiences we're talking about is something you see in your awareness. It's not a physical thing outside of you. It's something that you experience within yourself. So we're not advocating that you should go out and find these spirits. We're not advocating that you should do rituals, and we're not advocating that you should ignore them either.
Do what thou wilt.
Huh?
Do what thou wilt.
Well, they do. I mean, the spirits appear to you for a reason. What that reason isn't necessarily revealed to you that first time. It might be down the road or a week later or a month later or whatever as to what that is about. And what's important is that you don't discuss your experiences with people, because one, they'll get jealous. How come you've seen these things? You're not even a magician. And I've been doing all these things and you're just saying you see them. So
some of these magicians can be really petty about such things.
They can. I spent 6 months doing the rituals, and you saying they just turned up. Yeah, well, I didn't ask him. Well, he did ask them actually. It's some part, curiosity or something else. But they're not scary. They're not frightening. They're actually teaching spirits, and they're also initiating spirits. So the appearance of them, whoever, it represents initiation, a transition of energy states into another state. So it's good to, we've tried to give a kind of a broad kind of picture, haven't we? What have you left out?
This is all what is it? This is Goetia, the lesser key of Solomon. Here, let me think. What have we left out?
I don't know. We have really. It's just, you don't have to be scared of them. And if they turn up, they're usually very friendly. And they're not at all demonic.
I just think, sorry, I might sound a bit, but it's just cool. The Goetian demons, the Goetian system.
They're cool.
Awesome.
And, it's like your dreams. You can't prove what dreams you have, but you have them. And actually, no one else cares what dreams you have.
And listen, when you check out the history about it, they've been around for so long. Even if you've never heard of them, they must be somewhere in that collective unconscious knowledge of yours.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they go back to before Solomon's time, don't they? Because that's really, they sort of take Solomon as their master, and there's the whole thing of the Temple of Solomon.
Yes, but you have, normally, why are they called the key of Solomon? Because legend says that King Solomon made these demons build his temple for him. But of course, yeah, the oldest manuscripts of Solomonic books, I think, go back, what is it, 1600 or something? Not as far as you think. Yeah.
No. So there's something going on at that time that sort of, determined they want to bring these spirits out. And the thing is, however ancient they are, because they are ancient, they just, the names update and things like that. And they speak in the vernacular as well. They're not talking these and thous and some kind of medieval old Belgian or Flemish or stuff. I mean, they could have taught you in English. They could have taught you because you speak several languages. They could speak in any of those languages to you.
Oh well, and when you read these, a lot of these manuscripts are written in Latin. I didn't study Latin, unfortunately. But you can say what you want, Paul, but English is the new Latin.
Yeah, they speak English. They speak English very well.
But if you want to read anything of occult books, and you find them usually in English, you have to read English. If you only can look in your local language, although French also, there is a lot of mysticism going on in France. It's a lot of magic in France as well. It's a good thing to...
Yeah, but, and also this whole Dukante system is it's a different way of looking at these spirits, and in many respects, it's a lot more advanced than the ritual magician stuff that you find on these things. So, I mean, in normal tarot readings, if you're reading for a client or sort of stuff, they're not going to turn up. You're not going to get some big bloody great, invocation of one of these kings or whatever.
Well, if you could make them turn up during a tarot reading, Paul, you should ask more money.
I need to put my prices up anyway. I mean, who does turn up in readings is the person's relatives who passed on.
Yes.
You see them on the left-hand side. Left-hand side, that side.
It is a good way.
Pious left-hand side.
But it is a good way, I find, to communicate with the deceased. If somebody wants to know something, tarot is a very good means. It's less scary than a Ouija board.
Yeah.
But it can also give you a link with the deceased person, yes. I believe.
I saw a lady today. She was very confused, and she was looking for proof. I want proof about a prediction. I thought, well, how am I supposed to get proof about a prediction?
But just go with the flow and let things out. Normally, I have been in such situations as well, and you just go with the flow, and the sign comes.
Yeah, but the thing is with her, and I said, well, her guides came through very, very strong. It was almost physical. Mm. So you fit, it's the usual things with spirits. I mean, basically, there's three ways spirits are going to interact with you. One is in dreams. You can see Goetic spirits in dreams and other spirits as well. You feel them around you, and it's an awareness. In the same way you kind of think, oh, that's my nan around, or something like that, where you feel them in your heart. And this woman, none of that at all. Okay, great. Well, they said, well, I don't know, shall I say. And she said, well, actually, and she wanted proof. And then actually she said, well, I'm a blank canvas at the moment. I don't know what I want. I don't know what to do. So, well, because really, if you want to help somebody, you need them to sort of, it's like saying, well, cook me something. What have you got in the fridge? What have you got in the pantry? I don't know. You need some ingredients to make something. And the brilliant chefs, they'll mooch around the fridge and they'll cook you something fantastic you never thought you could do with the food that's in the fridge. But you're just thinking, just warm it up in the microwave or something. They can do that. But she was just
Gordon Ramsay could do it.
Sorry?
Gordon Ramsay could do it.
Yeah, well, he's a chef apparently. So she was just totally, well, I want proof of something. Well, what are you going to do? I don't know. And so, well, if you don't know what you're going to do and you don't know when you're going to do it. So, because the thing is, these things need to come from within. Otherwise, it's someone else telling you. Because usually I say, well, if you went that way, what do you want to do if you went that way? No, I just, she was really awkward. And she was totally externalized her life. And she externalized everything, but there wasn't anything for her to validate back into her experiences. So there's always this inner and outer thing going on. So, it's not about believing that they exist, but if you're not looking for them and they turn up and they say, this is my name and this is what I look like, and you check up and think, oh yeah, that is your name and that is what you look like, then you kind of know. So it's nothing you can ever prove, and you don't need physical manifestation, because it's not necessary unless you want proof. If you really wanted proof, why are you doing it in the first place?
Listen, if you don't believe in the astral field, you shouldn't be watching these videos in the first place.
Switch off now.
It is. Matter is so overrated.
What's overrated?
Matter. Physically. Seeing
things. Yeah. Well, that's the Cartesian view.
Physical manifestations.
This is an externalization of reality.
Yeah, with the right amount of alcohol, you can manifest anything.
Yeah, usually a fight.
And black eye, yeah.
You don't have to walk into a door for that one.
No, but it is. Come on. When you do have a spirit, it's not even on your mind at that moment.
No, it's not. It's the last thing. It's just boom.
It's like you're on the download link of the Matrix and you're not bothered.
Yeah.
About anything else.
That's what makes it real. Because if you spend months deciding on to invoke this particular one, you've done all the work and you've done the preparations, you've made the circle, you've memorized the things, and you do this ritual and the spirit turns up, then you're wondering, did I imagine it? Was it real?
And this is one of the things that makes it a very individual experience as well. Why you can't share it with others. I find it, because it's got you very well it happened.
Yeah.
But when you want,
that's enough.
That's even enough. I find it quite arrogant when people want physical proof.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. It's there. You have to find the proof themselves. It's not for you to deliver.
But and if you have the experience, it doesn't matter.
No, you've had it.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing. You acknowledge them, you remember them, but they'd expect you to move on to whatever's coming next. Anyway.
Well, once you get the hang of it,
it's dead easy.
Yeah, you enjoy it. That's it as well. It's
yeah.
I agree. It's like a new toy.
So there we are. So I hope we can put some comments down. Now, no doubt we're going to get some comments. I can't believe you said all these things. The only way is ritual and all that stuff. I expect we'll get some of those. But I mean, we're not expecting people to give proof of their experiences if you have them. If you have them, that's good. That's fantastic. Ritual,
I admire people who have the courage to go through a ritual to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just too lazy.
Yeah, but I mean, if they just turn up anyway? It's basically the whole thing. If you're a salesman, if you want to speak to the top man, you have to go through all the gatekeepers, the personal assistant and the secretary and the whole thing and sort of stuff. But we're actually, the head guy is actually calling us and saying, hey, deal with me.
When you do the ritual, you are summoning it.
Yeah.
Because if you spontaneously meet one, they come uninvited, eh?
Yeah. And so and they want to see you, and it's a friendly hello.
Yeah, but I just mean I do still the summoning part. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, I'm not against, and it's historical. When you read books, people have been doing this for so many centuries. You have to respect it. This is our tradition, our local.
Well, it's something happened in the 17th century that meant they had to do it, because before that, who says that they weren't turning up anyway? Like what we're talking about, No one says you have to do rituals. Only people who do rituals say you have to do it because they have to justify the effort they put into it. Well,
But
great, carry on.
But they
You know?
are fun. Rituals are fun. I like doing rituals.
Well, keep on going. So this has all been about tarot, actually, because tarot, these cards do have energies, and permutations of the cards have energies. And when you're doing a reading, these energies manifest through. And this is, you know, the things that you feel you have to say when you look at various permutations of cards is that energy of a spirit. Probably not a bad one. It may well be the spirit of the client that you're reading for, but something is inspiring you to say whatever you say.